Man alive, Jimmy Kimmel is getting absolutely dragged online for what can only be described as, outside of Rosie O'Donnell, the single worst case of Trump derangement syndrome I've ever seen. So they had some like award show the other night. Again, I don't watch I don't watch this crap. Like, imagine Hollywood people giving awards to each other. Like, I can't imagine anything less interesting than that. But in the midst of getting his award, he managed to disrespect Charlie Kirk and prove that he was never sorry for anything he said, and he never really understood why people were mad at him in the first place. Even earlier today, I was reading an article on Screen Rant that was talking about Jimmy Kimmel and that his show was pulled off the air due to pressure from the federal government. That's just a lie. That's fake news. Disney themselves has specifically said that they pulled Jimmy Kimmel live because of Sinclair Media and what's the other one? Viastar? No, Sinclair Media and Sinclair Media and one other one. Two of their local affiliates said we don't want him. That's why Disney pulled it. It had nothing to do with the FTC. But here's Jimmy Kimmel describing being pulled off the air for a few days as a near-death experience. And people are obviously pointing out how ridiculously out of touch this is, given that, Charlie Kirk, for Charlie, it was an actual death experience.
I think that it's interesting. It was almost a near-death experience for me. And
what? You make $30 million a year obsessing about Donald Trump, and to take a week off, paid, I'm sure, was a near-death experience for you. Like, you have to be, what an absolute piece of garbage. Absolute piece of garbage. Jimmy Kimmel, and then he's got another breakdown later in the video. Jimmy Kimmel claims show suspension over lies about Charlie Kirk's killing was, or he claims that it was almost a near-death experience. After winning the Critics' Choice Award for Best Talk Show on Sunday, Kimmel told reporters that his show being temporarily off the air over comments made in the wake of the assassination of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk was almost a near-death experience for him. It felt like I was Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn watching my own funeral when this stuff happened. And to be here and to see the way that people reacted to it, not just in a positive way, but almost a desperate way, where they were like, oh boy, they come after the comedians and this is where we draw the line. And we're very grateful that they drew the line at us. Dude, most people were celebrating that you were off the air. You returned to the air with over 6 million viewers that initial night. So that's how many people knew who you were and were interested in tuning in for that, okay? You are now down to less than 2. So everybody that gave you another chance, you had basically the opportunity of a lifetime to win those viewers back, and everyone immediately tuned back out. Kimmel's show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, was pulled off the air by ABC in the days following Kirk's assassination after he claimed that the MAGA gang was desperately trying to characterize the kid who assassinated him as anything other than one of their own, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. Charged with the killing is Tyler Robinson, who was in a relation with a transgender roommate and became more left-wing as years progressed. Andrew Alford, president of Nexstar, that's who I was thinking of, Nexstar and Sinclair Media. President of Nexstar Broadcasting Division said in a statement about the pulling of the show that Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a time in which our nation's political discourse, do not believe that they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, and values of the local communities in which we are located. Continuing to give Mr. Kimmel broadcast platform in the communities we serve is simply not in the public interest at our current time. We have made the difficult decision to preempt the show in an effort to let cooler heads prevail as we move forward to the resumption of a respectful, constructive dialogue. Of course, there was no mention of the FTC, the Federal Trade Commissioner, Brendan Carr, in that statement. Nexstar and Sinclair Media made the same decision of their own power. ABC lifted its suspension about a week later, with a spokesperson saying at the time that last Wednesday we made the decision to suspend the production of the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment in our country. Essentially, they probably went and talked to Jimmy Kimmel and were like, hey, can you be a decent human being for like a week and just chill out? And he was like, no, I can't. Like literally he's like, no, I can't be a decent human being. Can't do it, won't do it. So then they said, well, we have to preempt your show. And then he goes on later, like imagine your entire life. Everything in your life revolves around this person you supposedly hate in Donald Trump. It is absolutely sad, pathetic. It's difficult to really accurately put into words. And also, again, pretty hypocritical. So here he is, he gets his award, and what's the first person he thinks of?
I want to thank our president, Donald Jennifer Trump, without whom we would be going home empty-handed tonight.
Well, that's true. And by the way, calling him Jennifer, I mean, that's not very progressive. What if he's trans? He's literally doing that. Well, we can use the gay joke when it's about Trump, but you can't make gays the butt of the joke in any other situation. You know, like it's wild that in his greatest moment, that this is all he can do is admit that the first and only thing he thinks about is Donald J. Trump. Like the only thing he thinks about. By the way, this disgusting film has blocked me for some reason.
So thank you, Mr. President, for all the many ridiculous things you do each and every day. It's been a banner couple of weeks, and we can't wait to get back on the air tomorrow night to talk about them. Thank you, everyone.
Nobody cares. That isn't particularly funny, but imagine if Trump were in the MCU. What does this even mean? Meanwhile, he's planning something else. You know, Donald Jennifer Trump might be the hero we deserve. The joke landed hard. Kimmel never misses with the timing. It did? What? Like, he's so funny, man. I'm dying. Really? Calling him Donald Jennifer Trump? And let's look at let's take a look at how Kimmel finished the year. Here's the final. So the final for Q3, we haven't seen Q4. Let me see here. Let's see here. Kimmel calls out no. So the final for Q3, this came out in October, so we won't know Q4 yet, but we know that when he returned to the air, he had over 6 million viewers. Many people dispute that number, but it's, whatever it was, 6 million viewers. Q3 is traditionally a softer period for late night television, reflecting both seasonal viewing habits, fewer people watching live late night, and primetime programming slowdowns as networks rely more on repeats. Against that backdrop, CBS's Late Show not only held steady, but posted growth, averaging 2.84 million viewers across 31 first-run episodes, up 17% from Q2. The surge followed CBS's mid-July announcement that they were canceling Stephen Colbert's long-running franchise. Colbert averaged 260,000 viewers, up 19% in the key demo. Jimmy Kimmel's Live dipped all the way back down to 1.85 million. That is a major yikes. I mean, he's got 1 million fewer viewers than Stephen Colbert, even though him and Colbert were tied forever, basically. This is a show, showing modest growth, but a clear late quarter boost following Kimmel's late September return from a suspension. I mean, this is a show that is completely cooked. We go and we look at, Kimmel, his viewership, late night viewers. Hey, Hucky. Hey, good boy. Huck had another seizure this morning. He's had 2 this month, but he didn't have any for 3 months. So he's going to the vet today just to, make sure his medication's still good. But hey, good boy. I know. All right, come up here. There you go. Huck. Oh, you're all wet from the snow. Thanks for that. Oh, whoa, you almost bit my face off. What was that for? You goof. Here, you can have some of my leftover eggs. How about that? Instead of biting my face off. He was trying to give me a kissy, but sometimes he gets his wires crossed, and a kiss is actually a vicious face bite. But you know, the funny thing is like, again, you know, it's almost like Jimmy is reversing the victim and the offender. This guy, almost near death, never even close. What a crybaby. Charlie had an actual death experience. Disgusting. He knows Charlie actually died and he's still safe and sound in his $20 million villa, right? You know, this is, you know, he's pretending to be a martyr. I mean, the whole thing is so embarrassing for Kimmel and for the left. Like, obviously his show will continue to tank in 2026 or 2026, fall into obscurity. You know, he'll get a little bump when Kimmel finally gets canceled, but the whole thing is just pathetic. And Jimmy Kimmel is a huge flippin' loser. And I can't wait till he's off the air. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.